It is proven that a person's thoughts determine their health, relationships, and lifestyle. As Christians, we should be especially concerned about bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ, since both our actions and ultimately our moral character are affected by our thinking patterns. Micah Gillespie examines the 8 biblical filters in Philippians 4:8 in this week's Walk Talk series entitled, Think on These Things.
Good morning. Welcome back to another day of Walk Talks. This is the 3rd episode in my series of Philippians 4:8. The verse reads, "Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things." Just as a quick recap, on the first day, we looked at true and honest. Are the thoughts that you have arising in any situation, are they really true? Or are they muddied by your own perception and your own way of thinking? Are your thoughts honest? Are they really worth you spending time on? Are your thoughts just or approved by God? And are your thoughts pure? Or are they tainted by a worldly way of thinking? Are they tainted with carnality? Today we're looking at lovely and of good report. So let's jump in. The definition of lovely is acceptable and pleasing. Well, as you read that, you're going to say, well, who should it be acceptable to? Well, first and most important of all, it should be acceptable to God. All of your thoughts should be pleasing to God. Of good report means things spoken in a kindly spirit with goodwill to others, or speaking auspiciously. Now, you're probably wondering, as I did, what is auspicious? This has actually become one of my favorite words of late. Auspicious means showing or suggesting that future success is likely, encouraging, hopeful, or optimistic. Your thoughts should be auspicious or of good report. Your thoughts should be of goodwill to others, of goodwill to even yourself. You should have encouraging thoughts, hopeful thoughts, and optimistic thoughts, even in the worst of situations. You might be wondering, well, why does that really matter, right? Because I'm the only one that sees my thoughts, and so it really only affects me. And that is true, aside from the fact that God sees your thoughts. But the reality is that your thoughts eventually become your reality. Dr. Amy Morin, a psychotherapist, says this: your thoughts are a catalyst for self-perpetuating cycles. What you think directly influences how you feel and how you behave. For instance, if you think you're a failure, you'll feel like a failure. Then you will act like a failure, which reinforces your belief that you must be a failure. What you focus on literally becomes your reality. That's a crazy thought. Here's an example for you. I'm one of 9 kids. I'm smack dab in the middle. I have 4 older siblings and 4 younger siblings. I wish I could say that growing up, me and my siblings always got along like perfect little angels together. But that's not really the truth. The fact is, sometimes some of my siblings got on every single last nerve that I had. What happened over time is one sibling may just drive me up the wall. And the next day I wake up thinking about how he drove me crazy the next day, and I think to myself, wow, this sibling is so annoying. Well, what happens that day? If I wake up thinking this sibling is so annoying, all I think about through the rest of the day, or all I can see, is all of those annoying as all get out characteristics or quirks about that sibling. Now, the reality is those things exist. But if all I'm focused on is those annoying things that I see in my siblings, that's all I'm going to see, and completely ignore all of the good things about that sibling. Remember what Amy Morin said: what you think is a self-perpetuating cycle. That's a super powerful thought. And this doesn't just apply to people, but it applies to yourself. It applies to your relationship with God. It applies to every area of your life. It's why it's so important to really keep our thoughts in check. It's so important to ask ourselves, are our thoughts lovely? Are they acceptable and pleasing to God? And are our thoughts of good report? Are they encouraging, hopeful, and optimistic? So your 2 words today to try to put into practice: lovely and good report. Do you do this? I know that my thoughts are not always lovely and of good report. It's a convicting thought and a great challenge. Try it for yourself today.
Thanks for being a part of Walk Talks today by listening and subscribing to our podcast. Follow us on social media for sneak peeks at future episodes and to share your favorites with others who would benefit as well. We hope your heart has been enriched by God's Word to take your next step in following Christ.